All right, so you were building a Retropie this week. What basically I kind of just want to like talk about that a little bit because when I was over there today, you were showing me kind of how it worked in some of the games that you were playing. So I think people would be interested in hearing about how you put it together, some of the games that you're playing, kind of the process, kind of like where you got all the stuff. So I guess maybe first start off, what is the Raspberry Pi Retropie for people that might not know?
Well, I mean, I don't really know a whole lot about the stuff because I just followed like online guides.
Well,
But
where'd you find the guides, for example?
I mean, pretty much I just like Googled around. I know that you can go to there's a Retropie subreddit and they've got lots of resources there. But I mean, I built it. I wanted to make one because I wasn't able to find one of those NES minis, and so I just figured that I'd make one of these because I mean that's what people, a lot of people are talking about is, well, if you can't find one of those, just make a, like a RetroPie console.
Well, and it's interesting because the NES Mini only has like 20 something games at most, and it's only from the old NES era. So let's take a step back. You actually did get an NES Mini, but I ended up getting it from you.
Yeah, I gave it to you because I figured you don't usually catch things as fast as I
Right.
do, and so I figured that I'd give it to you and then I'd find my own eventually. But then they discontinued it a little bit after that. So I mean, it is what it is. I didn't. I mean, I wanted one for the novelty of it, but ultimately, I could have played everything on it somewhere else. I just wanted one to have one.
So, well, basically, since we only have one between us, and they're pretty much no longer making them anymore, and apparently they're coming out with a super or a what is it, a
I don't.
super NES Mini next at Christmas time?
I don't know if that's for certain or not. I remember seeing something about it supposedly leaking, but I mean, we won't really know, I guess, until it's officially announced.
Okay, so you made it. Basically, we were a couple weeks ago. We were talking about the idea of making a retro pie, and you actually just you
I just
went
decided to
for it.
do it. Yeah, I mean, all it really is like the Raspberry Pi is like a little computer thing. I mean, I don't know about any of this stuff. I mean, with the power of the internet, any idiot can, find a guide and do crazy stuff, and that's pretty much what I did. I just
Well,
looked up how to do all this.
I think that's no different than everybody else. So I think, like me, for example, I'm no smarter. I mean, you're way better at building things than I am. So you Googled up a Raspberry, like you said, you had probably found the Reddit that said, hey, if you don't have one of these, build one of these instead. And then you,
Yeah, I mean, and then you could have made it. I've seen like versions of it where people like they get a shell that looks exactly like the NES Mini, like it even opens up in front, and then some people even go further than that and they get like a little, they mod in so there's like a little LED indicator for when it's on, and then some people go even farther than that and they make these special little cartridge. They look like little Nintendo games, but they've got like NFC tags in them or something, and you can like slide them into the mini console, and they're read by the NFC reader, and it like automatically launches a game. So like you could have like a mini Mario Brothers 3 game, and if you slide the little cart into the console, it automatically detects that and it'll start up.
that's
I mean,
awesome.
yeah, just like stuff like that. I mean, I didn't really want to go through all that effort, and I didn't really feel like I had to have one that looked exactly like an NES Mini. So I did, and plus, since I didn't really know what I was doing, I just got there's like basic kits you can get. Um, there's a few different kinds. I went with one called a Cana kit or Kana kit.
How do you spell
Probably
that?
CANAKIT. Maybe it's Cana kit because I think they're Canadian, but I have no idea. But anyway,
Hang on, I see it on Amazon here. CanaKit Raspberry Pi 3 Complete Starter
yeah,
Kit, 32 gigabyte edition.
yeah, I got that one. I mean, there's a couple of them for varying levels, but I believe I got the complete one. It goes for somewhere around like 60 to 70. I think I got it like 68 or 69 or something. And it comes with the Raspberry Pi and it comes with the 32 gigabyte card, a case to put it all in, the power supply cord, heat sinks. I don't know, probably some other stuff I can't remember. And you could buy this stuff separately if you really wanted to. You could just buy the Raspberry Pi. You could buy a memory card. And I was looking at that too to see if I bought everything individually. But I mean, by the time I had put the Raspberry Pi, I found the Raspberry Pi and I found the 32 gigabyte card and the power supply and all that. It started to get more expensive than just the kit. So I mean, I just went with the kit.
Well, no, I mean, like, first off, I'll include links to all of this for all of our listeners. You'll find them in the show notes, guys. But basically, yeah, I mean, it's $69.99 right now on Best Buy, this Canada thing, and it comes with heat sinks and a 6.5-foot HDMI cable. It comes with Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Is this the thing that you got here?
Yeah, that's what I got. But I mean, like, there's guides out there that say you can make them for like under $30. I don't know if I saw one that was under $20, but I mean, it must have been $30 because I think the Raspberry Pi by itself is like 30 something.
I was gonna say, how do they do that for less than 30? Because
Yeah,
the
it
Raspberry
has to
Pi
be
is 30
like
something.
it has to be like 30 something. But I mean, assuming you have all the other components, I
Well,
could see that happening. But
a 32 gigabyte Class 10 is over $12.
yeah, but it's not just that. It's like one of those like itty bitty ones, the size of like your pinky nail.
Micro SD, yeah.
Yeah, and you have to put stuff on it like I just went with the Retropie stuff. Like I don't know, I don't really know how it works. I don't know if I don't think it's an operating system, but then I don't know what's going on because I know that there is an operating system called Raspbian, but I don't have that. I basically just went like straight. I just put the Retropie image on it and put it in the console, and it starts up Retropie. I mean, that's all it does. It's all it runs. There's Retropie. I didn't put any like I guess real operating system on it.
What is this thing that it says the SD card comes preloaded with noobs, Noobs,
Yeah,
like newbie
that's
noobs?
like something for setting up the Raspberry Pi.
So it's like a motherboard home screen sort of.
I mean, honestly, I don't know because I formatted the thing and I slapped the RetroPie on it. I mean, that's all I really cared about. I just wanted it to be simple and just do the RetroPie stuff. But I mean, you can install the Raspbian operating system if you want to. I think Noobs is just like for beginners or something, which is probably why it's called Noobs. Like way to set up the operating system and stuff. I mean, honestly, I just don't know what it does.
But essentially, so you put this thing together. You got the kit. You pieced it together,
Yeah,
and
basically, you get the kit and it's it's all the stuff. And what you got to do is you get the Raspberry Pi itself, and then you gotta. It's already all put together, so there's not really much you have to do. Yeah, I mean, like it's a lot more work if you want to make something like portable. Like if you want to make like put something in like a Game Boy type shell with a screen, because then you have to like do wires and soldering and stuff. And eventually I'm gonna do something like that. But I mean, just for this, you have to just basically put the stuff on the mini SD card on a computer, and then you put it in the Raspberry Pi, and then you can place the heat sinks on, which is really simple, and then you just put it in the case.
interesting.
It's really easy.
So you basically put this together. Was it so after you put it together, getting all the software to run? I know that you were telling me how you kind of ran into I don't know if it was compatibility issues, but I mean at one point you had to reset it. Like what was the process like getting everything up and running?
I mean, it was pretty easy. I have no idea what I'm doing in terms of like how the coding and stuff works on this. I don't know what it's using. It's some kind of Linux system, and like you have to like type in stuff like sudo reboot or to get it to reboot, and then or like if you want to open up a file, you do like sudo nano and then you like do the path of the file. I have no idea what any of that stuff means. I just type out sudo and I'm just thinking sudo udo, the Pokemon.
From Pokemon.
So I have no idea what any of it means. I just know that that's what you have to do. And I mean, and so the problem I was having is I got it all set up initially and it was working great, but since I didn't really know what I was doing, I think I must have like messed something up because I started having some kind of error, like sound error, where I would get like an error message that would like flood the whatever you call the thing.
The
Like,
console.
yeah, I guess. So that's when I just decided I just would start all over, and I mean it was a lot faster than it was the first time, but I probably because I was having a hard time trying to get. I also decided I picked up the official Raspberry Pi 7-inch touchscreen, and I was trying to figure out how to get that turned upside down because I put it in like this case that fits the Raspberry Pi that's connected to the back of the screen, but it was kind of upside down from how that thing's supposed to sit. So you have to add a line to one of the files to get it to flip. But I think the first time I did it some other way that was more confusing. And I also was trying to figure out how to get the touchscreen function to work. And it's been a long time doing that and messing with stuff before I realized that nothing in Retropie supports the touchscreen.
Oh, so
And
is the touchscreen that you
yeah,
got kind of, I don't want to say
well, I mean,
worthless, but kind of
I
like,
just the touch aspect of it, yeah, I cared about the screen really. The fact that it was a touch screen, I don't really care that much about. But
but it's essentially like a nice non-touch iPad screen, right? Nice glossy
yeah,
glass looking.
yeah, it's definitely a really nice screen. Close to the size of I guess the Switch screen. I mean, it's pretty similar in size.
It's basically 7 inches. It's a 7-inch screen that you
Yeah,
got. I took a picture
and
of the box. It's pretty cool.
yeah. So, but I mean, it works, I guess theoretically. Like if you were running like the operating system and doing stuff. But of course, since I'm not using any of that, it's pretty much worthless to me. So I basically didn't bother fiddling with any of that stuff the second time around, and everything is working a lot better. The only issue I'm really running into right now is like I just like I'm trying to get a whole bunch of different stuff and see like what I can put on it, just for fun. And, like there's like several different DOS games, but like I'm having a hard time trying to get some of them to work because I don't know if they're necessarily compatible with DOSBox because I'm using DOSBox to run them. Though there is another computer or DOS emulator. I should probably try that. Maybe I have more success with that with some of these things.
So
But I mean,
sorry, go ahead.
but I mean that's all this really is. It's not something like super special or amazing. It's an emulator. You could I mean, it's not just an emulator. It runs, emulators. It's got like this thing in it called RetroArch, which is it's like this I wouldn't know how to describe it. I have it on my Surface. It's like a program or suite with like a bunch of different emulators and like but it kind of the interface of it kind of looks like the cross media bar from like PlayStation 3.
So, so when I was over there at your place this afternoon, I saw this interface that showed like all the different consoles. I guess we would call them the emulators, right? So I saw that there
Yeah,
was
that's
DOSBox.
the RetroPie um, interface, and you can get different themes and stuff for that.
So then
But
what's I see that I looked it up. They call it RetroArch is on like libretro, and it's a front end for some kind of API. It's known for being a program which you can play many emulators and games, which have all been customized and tailor ported to some.
yeah,
So essentially, you've combined a bunch of
it's an
emulators.
emulator suite, and
Got
then
it.
you can do all sorts of different things in it, like modified drivers and different aspects of how things work. Like I think you can put different. I don't want to say filters. I don't know what I'm thinking of, but just different ways to change the way the games look graphically.
So what is the so basically Retropie comes with the ability to have DOSBox. That's an interesting thing to me.
Well, yeah, what you can do is you can go into the setup, and there's I think they're called, it's either called cores or modules, or maybe not even that. I don't remember what they're called, but you get like a set of stuff that's, like all the normal, things you would think of, plus like tons of different like old time computer things like Amiga and Turbo, whatever. It's, all the stuff that we were too young to
Right.
ever really experience.
Right. Yeah.
And then there's a bunch of optional stuff you can do, like different versions of emulators for those things, some experimental stuff, and that's where you can get stuff like DOSBox, and you can get the Scum VM engine, which runs like the old school LucasArts adventure games, and some other things, and
So
lots of
like
other stuff
you're saying
too.
you can maybe play Monkey Island on there and stuff like that?
Yeah, you could play that, and
Huh.
you can play the Scum stuff, and you can play, and then DOSBox. I mean, it runs stuff pretty well. I don't know if it might be, I don't know if it's DOSBox's problem, or if maybe I didn't find good sources for like the games I'm using, or maybe I just don't even know what I'm doing. I mean, I've used DOSBox before. It's not that confusing, but
Okay, so I think just from an outsider's perspective, I think what's cool is you keep talking about how you don't know what you're talking about, you don't know any of this stuff, but the fact that you've built this little mini working computer electronic piece that plays on a glass screen or a plastic screen in front of you, a bunch of old school games. And when I was there today, I saw you had hundreds of games loaded on this thing. Unlike the NES Mini, which is 20 games or something like that, you had hundreds of games
yeah,
at your
but like you
fingertips.
could do that. Like if you have a computer already, you don't really need a powerful computer at all. But I liked the idea of the portability of it, especially with the little screen, and also because I like to play games like I liked playing games on the Wii U and I'm now on the Switch, off screen, so that like I could do other things with the TV.
That's cool.
Yeah, I mean like off
Yeah.
screen play.
No, no, I think that's
So like I can like watch Netflix while I play or something.
well, and even if none of that mattered, like you kept telling me today how, oh, you can just play all these games on your computer. You don't need to build a Raspberry Pi. But the thing is, you built a computer.
I
Like
mean, quotes, because basically all I did was like it's not even really, you're not even really building
you're putting it
anything. You're
together
just
though. That's cool. Like I think that's really cool.
I mean, just putting like the basic thing. Like if you just want to make like the things that come with the Cana kit, you're really just basically sticking it in the box. I and other than like peeling the back of like the heatsink adhesive and sticking the heat sinks on, you're not really doing much of anything. But I mean, if you want to hook up the screen, that's a little bit more complex. But I mean, I'm sure for anybody that knows anything about computers, it's probably not much at all. All you got to do is like there's a ribbon cable you have to connect,
Yeah.
and then like some other wires. I mean, I don't know what any of those things are. I don't know any of this stuff about computer stuff. I just follow these guides online.
Again, and that's a cool part, the fact that you're able to. And let's take it a step further. I mean, this thing has HDMI ports, it has Bluetooth wireless, like you said, it has USB, it has Ethernet. Now, I don't see why someone couldn't essentially then make it so that this thing connects right into like a car charger, so that you could play these retro games essentially on the go through a car charger, right? Because there's I mean, what
Well, I
kind of
mean,
adapter is that?
people make like portable versions of these that run in like Game Boy shells, so they get like batteries that can to make these like completely portable. Like I, my old Game Boy I have, it's like in my dresser somewhere in my
Yeah,
room, or
yeah.
my old room. I could get that. I could crack it open. I could hollow it out of all the stuff, and then you have to create some holes, but you can basically put the pie in there. But that involves some other stuff like with soldering. You have to have a board, like a another computer board thing in there for the buttons. It's more confusing and difficult from what I've looked into, but it's very possible to have a portable system. Right now, mine's as portable as it can get, I guess, without being super complicated. I still need to power it. But I mean, if I wanted to, I could probably find some kind of external power device that can charge. So like if I wanted to, play in a car, I could. I don't know if there's necessarily a car adapter, like we used to have with like our old stuff, but there might be. Trying to think of other things that I bought. Oh yeah, you need a keyboard, and you can use. I mean, you need a USB keyboard.
Well, that's one of the things I wanted to talk about next, real quick. After
Yeah.
just basically saying that you can, there are converters that go from this USB thing to a car adapter, so that's totally doable. But
Yeah.
so one of the things I did want to touch on next was you were saying you need a USB keyboard. Um,
Yeah.
does any USB keyboard just plug right into that USB jack and work, or do you need? I
I
know
mean,
you got a special one.
I mean, it's not really that special. It's just a mini keyboard. It's made by, looking at it, it's like iPad's port. Like it's some kind of like, I don't know what it is. Like some kind of,
iPad's port, wireless mini keyboard, and touchpad.
it's some kind of like Chinese thing, I think.
Is it a touchpad? Mouse combo?
It's got a mouse pad tracker thing.
Yeah.
And it's got like the full keyboard. And I mean, I don't know. It's worked really well for me. I don't have any complaints.
What was it, $14.99?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a link to that on Amazon.
And there's different kinds of them too. Like there's some that are just long, like the shape of a remote control.
And then you got the
But I mean, you can use any USB keyboard.
what classic? So you also got I saw you had like a NES controller looking thing. Which controller brand did you end up picking up?
There's one called Elecom.
Elecom. Looking for that.
8-button gamepad. It looks like a Super Nintendo controller. From what I was looking around, people say the best ones are iBuffalo, but when I was looking to build mine, like on Amazon, there were no iBuffalo controllers. And also, I heard somewhere that they might not be making them anymore, or that they might be known as Elecom now. And I saw some people said that when they ordered iBuffalo controllers, they got these Elecom controllers. But so I mean, I don't know. I got the Elecom controller because by the time the iBuffalo ones came back in stock,
I was gonna say there's one left in stock right now on Amazon.
How much is it?
$29.59 for the iBuffalo classic
they're like
USB.
They're like $30, but for everywhere that I looked at people talking about them, everyone was saying that they were like $15. So I didn't really want to pay $30, but then the Elecom one ended up being like $19.95 or something, and I just decided that that didn't sound so bad, so I got it, and I don't have any complaints. I mean, I'm holding it right now. It feels pretty good. If I did have some complaints, the shoulder buttons, like you could probably hear it.
Yeah.
They're a little clicky, like they're not as soft as I would really like, and I noticed that I sometimes have trouble with the right shoulder button a little bit, but I mean it's not horrible. But and then also with the D-pad, although for one game I was playing the other day, it had a hard time with like in Mario when you're pressing to the right and you're running, and then you also kind of like roll your finger and press down so that he can slide.
Yeah.
When I was doing that, it wasn't really
registering it.
Yeah. But I noticed that it was working a lot better. I don't know if I was playing a different game or if it was just or what, but I think it works a little bit better now. So I don't know, maybe that was just an anomaly. But I mean, other than that, I mean, it's pretty great.
So you got
people say the best controller though, like if you want like a Super Nintendo style controller, is just to use a Super Nintendo controller if you have one, because you can apparently buy like adapters for them now.
So SNES controller adapter.
Well, I don't know if they sell like actual controllers.
They totally do. SNES controller adapter to PC USB.
Yeah, but I don't know if they actually sell like NES controllers, like the actual NES controllers.
SNES, right? SNES.
Yeah, SNES. If I was saying NES, I meant SNES.
Yeah, I know what you meant. Yeah, I mean, they have a couple of them for sale. Like, they have one left in stock by Buffalo.
Probably like expensive. Well, I mean, not like iBuffalo, like, cause that's the actual USB one.
Yeah. You're talking about like legit,
like real, like actual Super Nintendo controllers. I mean, they're not. They'd have to be knockoffs because they're obviously not in production anymore.
We still have ours though.
We have ours somewhere. I couldn't tell you where they are, but we do have two of them. but I mean, I couldn't even begin to tell you where they're at.
I have an idea. They're in the garage, but okay. So basically, these controllers are cool, and you got that keyboard mouse controller pad thing.
Yeah,
Um,
and that actually works for like when I'm playing some of the stuff in DOSBox and some of the Scum games.
so what's any other hardware you got other than that, or is that pretty much?
Other than that, and the screen and the controller, no, that's pretty much it.
Okay, let's talk about some
I put it in a casing.
the casing that the glass screen clicks into, right?
It doesn't. I don't know if it really clicks into it.
Well,
It goes in,
it
and then you
snaps
kind of
in.
have to screw it in.
Oh, it screws in.
It's. I'm taking off the back here. It's made by
I think I got a picture of it.
1-9 Design. I don't know if that's who makes it or not, but that's what's on the back of this little piece of
Yeah,
plastic.
it says right here it's um yeah, interesting. It
It
doesn't have a
comes
name
in
on it.
different. It comes with different it comes in different colors.
You got clear,
I
right?
got clear because I kind of like the clear stuff,
That's
the
cool.
see-through stuff where you can like see the insides.
Um, so in terms of games, when I was over today, I mean, there were you have amazing games on there. You have all the old Mario games. You're even messing around with like getting Elder Scroll games to work. You have old games like that Treehouse Learning game and what was the mountain one?
Treasure Mountain.
Treasure Mountain, old school DOSBox games.
Yeah,
You
just
got
like nostalgia. Just looking at old stuff like that.
I mean, everything from those Mickey Mouse RPG games to, I mean, everything you can imagine pretty much, right? Like every game is basically a ROM now.
I mean, yeah. Well, I mean, the DOS ones weren't ROMs. They were actual
No,
like.
yeah, they're software. Um, well, that's cool. Like any games you've played yet that are your favorites that you're going back and playing?
I mean, it's funny because I haven't actually spent a lot of time playing
You've
anything.
just been tinkering with it to get it to
I've
work.
just been fooling around with it.
That's cool too, though.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I've played several, and but not for very long. Um, I want to play Super Mario RPG. I figured that'd be great.
That's awesome.
Um, and another thing, I don't know if like you might edit this out. I don't know, but like, did we want to talk about like the legality type stuff?
Yeah, I mean, why not? I'm not gonna edit this out. I figure,
I mean,
um,
it's not super above the board.
and it's not necessarily wrong either, right? None of this
I don't know.
stuff.
From what I've heard, nobody's been like nobody's been no they haven't gone after anybody for downloading ROMs. I think that the people they've gone after are the ones that
Distributing it, basically.
distribute them, and also like the ones that make like hardware to rip them off or something.
Yeah.
Like there's this one company I don't like in the past I think had made like hardware that could rip like Nintendo 64 games and stuff. But I mean I don't know. So I mean no harm's come of it so far. And I mean like and I mean I don't like and that's I don't mean of course I don't feel great about it, but I feel less bad about it because like I could play I could find online a ROM of one of the games, or I could pay some guy on eBay like $80 for just one game cartridge, and none of that's going to the game company anyway. And in terms of like Nintendo games, I mean I've bought Super Mario World now. Gosh, I mean we bought it on the original Super Nintendo. I have the Game Boy Advance version of it. I have the version on the Wii, and I have it again on the Wii U, and I have it again on my 3DS. I mean, I've had to rebuy that so many times that I don't really feel like I should. Like, I don't feel bad about getting the ROM of Super Mario World. I think I've paid for it enough times.
No, and again, I don't think there's any legality issues here at all. Anyway, neither of us are lawyers, and none
Well,
of us
like
are
what
saying there
people
isn't.
will
But
tell, like the myth that people will tell you is that it's legal to own the ROM if you also have a physical copy of the game.
right, but that
Like
in and of itself is a myth.
apparently that's gone around for years, but apparently there's no truth to that at all. What it is supposedly you can have a digital backup of a game but you have to actually make that backup yourself. But then there's other stuff involved in that, like in the legality of that, because apparently you'd be breaking some like copyright law just for
Making the backup.
crapping the copy protection or something. I don't know. It's confusing. I mean, I don't pirate modern games. That's never really been something I've had any interest in doing because I have no problem supporting game companies or whatever. But I don't know, for stuff that's like ROMs and abandonware that you just can't find anywhere else.
Yeah, they're not selling it anymore anywhere. That's when I don't feel bad.
Well, like good old games. I think good old games is great, and I've bought a lot of stuff on good old games, and I have no problem buying stuff on good old games. But there's also a lot of stuff that isn't on good old games that I really want to play.
Like 99.9% of all the things you're playing right now in the Retropie.
Pretty much, yeah. And plus, like things like Daggerfall and Arena, like those have been released for free for like a while now. I think they're still free anyway. I know that Bethesda put them up for free.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. Some people might have a problem with it. Some won't. I mean, because like all these websites and people will talk about making these RetroPies and stuff, but like everybody's always kind of like hush hush when it comes to the actual games themselves. Or they'll only talk about like the freeware stuff. But I mean, everybody knows what people are making these for.
Obviously, we're all making them too. Well, I mean, play the retro games, and I mean, I have a friend at work who uses his Raspberry Pis just for a web browser on a big TV, and he uses it wirelessly or something strange like that.
Yeah, you can do a lot of cool different stuff with the Raspberry Pis. Like from what I've seen, they can be used as like portable media devices.
Yeah.
I don't really know to what extent, but I mean maybe that's like listening to music or something. But like it's also good for like like programming and stuff. I mean, it's just stuff that I probably will never get into. But it's a super cheap little computer. And I mean like compared to like my Surface, I have a Surface Pro 3, which is I don't know how powerful that is exactly off the top of my head, but I mean it's fairly decently powerful. I can run some modern games on it, not super great. Well, I don't know about modern, but I mean like I could run what's the last thing
And
I ran
can you run
on there?
N64 on there?
Well, yeah, but I'm talking about even like games on Steam.
Oh, really?
Like actual Steam games. I can run some stuff on it pretty good. But even then, it overheats, like because it's got an overheating problem. But even with like the emulators on that, even it would cause it to get hot. And like even some of the games I was having a problem with, they would not run well. And it was just like it was a lot of effort trying to get some stuff to work right. But from what I've seen with the RetroPie setup, for just like all the basic stuff, like your Genesis, your Nintendo, Super Nintendo, those kind of games, everything that I've tried has run pretty flawlessly. The only stuff that I've had problem with is the DOS stuff, which is not unexpected, and also some of the arcade games, the MAME stuff. I don't really know what MAME stands for. I'm guessing it stands for something like multiple arcade machine emulation. I mean, I don't know. That could stand for something completely different.
Yeah, multiple arcade machine emulator. That's
Oh, really?
MAME. Yeah.
Yeah. So and that's got stuff like Michael Jackson's Moonwalker and to all the way back to.
Oh, is there Gauntlet? That old Gauntlet game we used to play?
Oh yeah,
quarters in?
yeah. You can get Gauntlet. I mean, any arcade game. I don't know about any arcade game, but sure, a lot of them. Like the Turtles ones. What else? I mean, not all of these things can run on a Raspberry Pi, because there's a list of compatibility things that you can find somewhere. I think it was on like GitHub or something. There's a Raspberry Pi. Not Raspberry Pi, a RetroPie wiki there, and you can you can see games that can run, like MAME games that can run, and the compatibility of them. But the MAME stuff is a lot more confusing because I also don't have a controller that's really good for that stuff. With like the arcade stick
Yeah, don't you
and
have an arcade stick though that you got one
well,
time when you were into Street
I have a
Fighter?
Street Fighter arcade stick that I got. I don't know if that would work or not. I mean, it is USB, but that's actually a really good question.
I'm looking it up
Uh,
right now. MAME
I don't
Street
see
Fighter
why it wouldn't
gamepad.
work. Why it wouldn't work? It's not like it's exclusive to Street Fighter. It's just an arcade stick. That's actually a really good idea. I should try to remember where that is.
MAME Street Fighter
It's
2
not like
game.
the super best one. It's actually I mean, apparently like the gold standard for arcade parts. I believe the brand is called something like Samwa,
Yeah, you're gonna have to spell that
and
one.
then there's like SANWA. And then there's another one I think, but I can't really remember the name of it. But apparently they make the best arcade parts. And I know some people make the retro pies into like miniature like bar top arcade cabinets, even going so far as like fully big ones, I think. Though maybe they put stronger computers in those. But like I remember seeing on Reddit someone made like a bar top style arcade machine that had um the two sets of joysticks and buttons, and I thought that was pretty awesome. I mean, that kind of thing seems like pretty complicated. Like I don't know. I don't know how to work with wood and cut wood. Do you? I mean, I
No,
don't.
no, no. That
That
that's
just
beyond me.
seems like a lot of
I
work.
I prefer the Canna kit Raspberry Pi.
Yeah,
Put two plugs in, put it in a plastic box, put a screen on it, plug in your USB and your HDMI and be set.
yeah. It's simple. It's simple and things run easily, and there's not a lot you can do to mess it up. I mean, of course you can, because I did it. I
But then you
messed.
just reboot it,
Yeah.
right? Like it's really simple to
Well,
just like
like
reset it.
there probably is a really simple way to do that, but I just started over from the beginning. And the only reason it took so long is like when I'm installing some of the optional things like Scum, VM, and DOSBox, you get different options. Like one is install from binary and one is install from source. I don't really know what the difference in that exactly. Like I think I was looking it up, and install from binary. I think it's faster, but it's like older like versions, and
Mm,
source is newer, but it's a lot slower. And when I was installing those from source, it takes forever.
mm.
Like I was just sitting there forever as while I was installing stuff.
Well, I think that's probably a good place for us to just kind of stop and wrap it up because um, this is a long episode, but I'm fascinated by the RetroPie stuff, so I just kind of wanted to do our podcast and talk about the Raspberry Pi possibilities, and maybe we can get a post or two in the next couple of weeks. Like when I come over every Tuesday, maybe we can like play. I don't know, play one of these games and I can bring a recording device and maybe we can record some.
I don't see why we couldn't.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how many players it would support. I mean it would definitely support two. It would probably support four. I'm just trying to think what we'd use for a second controller.
Well,
I th-
could you use the USB keyboard and I could use the controller or vice versa and we
well,
could.
I don't know if you can use the keyboard to control the ROM games. I mean, maybe you can if you.
Well,
I don't know.
there's four USB ports, so couldn't I?
Yeah,
What if I actually
but
found our old SNES controllers, which I think I know where they're at?
well, those aren't USB though.
No, just get a little connector.
Yeah, you could, but I also think when I was looking around on the RetroPie subreddit, someone said that you can use one of the old style Pro controllers for like the Wii U Pro controllers.
Yeah,
I don't know if you had one. I
yeah,
had
I
one.
have one. Yeah.
No, but you have the little plastic shell one. I mean, like not the classic controller, but a Pro controller.
I maybe I do only have
It
the
looks
classic
it
one.
looks more like a traditional controller. I think it's wireless, but I don't know
Oh,
if it's
I've got the wired one, so I have a
wireless
pro one. Yeah.
or if it's Bluetooth. But I think from what I was seeing, I think someone said you can use that. So I mean, if we can use something like that, then I mean that would work too. That would actually be pretty good because you could probably play several things with that since it's got like the joysticks and stuff.
Cool. Well, let's do that. This next time I come over, let's make a video or something because that might be cool to write about on the blog and maybe just
Yeah,
take
I
some
mean, because
video.
like I'd love to play Turtles in Time because
Yeah.
we haven't played that in forever. And then the remake they made several years back was just crap.
No, the remake wasn't any good. It wasn't any good.
But I mean, this also has net play. I saw you could set up net play, which I assume means that like if you had a device or if you had the RetroArch thing set up on your computer, I think that we could play something like that together online. I don't know if that's exactly what it is, but I mean, I don't know what else net play means. What else would it mean?
It has NetPlay. I'm looking this up. Some RetroArch cores have NetPlay built in, which means if you have some friends in a different place and still want to play games, you can. You both need to be running the same version of RetroArch. You both need to be running the same emulator, and you both have to have the exact same ROM. You apparently configure some kind of NetPlay thing, and you grab their IP address, and then the other person just connects to the IP. Kind of like old school Direct Connect. Remember that?
Yeah,
So it's basically old school Direct Connect where you connect over host
like
IP.
the TCP/IP thing.
Yeah, TCP, UDP stuff. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
interesting.
so that'd be cool to try out.
That would be cool. All right, let's go ahead and wrap it up there. Everyone, thanks for listening. I know we were kind of just rambling on about the Retropie and a lot of these older cool games and some do-it-yourself stuff. I'm going to include all the links to the stuff Graev was talking about today in the show notes, essentially right down below where you're listening to this. And don't forget to like us on places like iTunes, YouTube. We're on SoundCloud, kind of all those places. And let us know what you think. We really want your feedback on these episodes. The whole point, we're actually kind of changing the way that we do them. We're trying to get more casual. Just, again, it's going towards that two people, two brothers, two gamers talking about the games that we're playing and the things that we're doing that are related to games and the whole point that you're reading the blog about. So again, let us know your feedback if you like what we're doing. If you have suggestions, we're definitely open to that. And so again, we thank you for listening, and thank Graev for spending hours and hours fiddling with his RetroPie so that we get something to talk about today. So we will catch you guys next time on the next episode of Keenan Graev's QuickCast.